Hey everyone, I'm Roshan, an undergraduate student, and I recently completed my visa interview. So today I would like to share my visa interview experience. So as you all know, visa interview for US is a two-step process. One is the biometrics and second is the main visa interview. A short introduction about the biometric. I had my biometric at the Chennai Consulate on 9th June. So they were asking the major documents, which is the appointment confirmation, the DS-160 form, and your I-20 along with your passport. So four things they asked at the biometrics, and it was pretty much simple process. It took around half an hour or around 1 hour to complete the whole biometric process. And one point, they just allow you to enter within half an hour of your time slot. So no point in going too early and waiting in the hot sun these summers. So as you all are eagerly waiting for the visa interview experience, let's dive right into it. So after 3 days, that is on 12th June, I had my visa interview at the Hyderabad Consulate. So my time slot was 10:15 and we were allowed at around 10 o'clock inside the consulate. So there were long queues to be waiting for outside the consulate. So if you guys go too much early, like 1.5 hours, you just have to stand in the queue until your time slot is called. So they call you according to your time slot and then you can enter. So I'll just start from the starting process. We entered in the queue and initially there was security check-in just like the airport. They check your whole body, they check your file, all the documents inside, and they scan everything. So just bring the documents which are specified and the things which are mentioned in the website. And then after the security check-in, we go into the consulate where we are divided into separate queues for different categories of visas like tourist visas, J1 visa, G2 visas, and the popular student F1 visa. So after standing in around 10 minutes in the second queue inside, we were allowed by a batch slot of 5 students each into the officers area. So there are separate queues, like around 10 queues which are standing according to one officer. So while standing in that separate queue, you can watch your diagonal person waiting for the interview. At the same time, far away, you can slightly hear the other person's interview conversation going on. But just be positive at that time, and even if you see rejections, which I saw at Hyderabad Consulate, don't get disheartened, just be positive and go. So I would break this interview session into 5 major events. So first is the timings, so just be half an hour before at your point. The second one is the documents to carry. Carry all the documents which are asked in the mentioned websites, as these documents can increase your confidence in a certain way. That's why it's better to carry all the documents which you have. And the third one which I noticed is the dress code. Most of the people were wearing formals and semi-formals, and it was also recommended by these websites and many other students and seniors to wear formals, as it has an impression on the visa officer as you are professional, and it creates a sense of confidence in you also when you dress well. So that's one of the important factors there. Moving on to the fourth point is the mock sessions. So before my interview, I gave around 4 to 5 mocks from seniors and from other helping persons, which increased my confidence really. So they gave me feedbacks and suggestions as to how I should improve my speaking and how I should perform in these interviews, with valuable tips and suggestions. So before the interview, I was a bit prepared to face it. This gave me a certain level of confidence for sure. And the fifth important area which I would like to cover is the questions which they asked me. So I'll move right into the questions which I've noted down. So my interview, after standing in queue for long hours, Finally, I got to meet the officer. First, she greeted me with the good morning, and I also greeted her. And she asked me my I-20 and my passport. I handed it over to the visa officer, and she saw my I-20 and told, "Okay, you're going to Texas A&M. Okay, that's great. Which course are you going for?" What's the second question? So I told my course industrial engineering. So next follow-up question was, why industrial engineering? So I told her the subjects which I have taken, the courses and internships which I have completed, and all the related stuff regarding that. So she was pretty much convinced with that, and she asked me the third question. Did you do any internships or any projects related to this course? So I had done few internships, so I mentioned those information regarding that, and then she moved on to the next question, the fourth question. She asked me about my undergraduate project. Since I'm a 2023 graduate student, she asked me about my project. So I explained her all about my undergraduate project. While standing in the queue, I also heard officers asking students about their work experience, their job roles, what did they do, and some technical questions related to their jobs. So if you're a working professional, it's better to always prepare about your work experience. Yeah. Then she moved on, my officer moved on to the fifth question. So she asked, what are your plans after completing your masters? Will you come back to India? So that was quite challenging question for me. So I told my reply that India is a developing country, and many firms like Amazon, Tesla, international firms, electronic vehicles industry are setting up their bases in India in future. And once we students graduate, we have ample of opportunities here in India. And I told regarding the major Indian industries like Tata Industries, Reliance, all those which I have multiple options to work as a supply chain management area according to me. So that question I answered like that regarding that, and she was pretty much convinced with that answer. And the final question was about funding. She asked about who is funding you, and I told about my parents funding, my loan, education loan which I had taken. All these amounts I had told in Indian currency only. There's no need to convert into US currency. It depends from person to person. It depends upon your choice. So these were the 6 questions which I faced during my visa interview. And then after that, she told, oops, there is some error in this in the system. So for a moment I just got shocked. I thought I'm rejected for some reason, I don't know. But then she told me to go to another counter because my photograph had an error, and I had to submit a 2x2, 2x2 size US application visa photograph. So luckily I had it with me. I had taken it before. So I gave that photograph to that counter, and I returned back to the counter, and she asked me to place my fingerprints. And I didn't hear the word your visa is approved, because I was in a state of trance or full of another world. But one thing I knew for sure, that if they keep your passport with them, your visa is interviewed. So my passport was with them, so I just assumed my visa is approved. I just took my documents, greeted ma'am, thank you, I just ran away from the counter. So that was my visa interview, guys. And a few tips and suggestions which I would like to give to the future students or future aspirants who are going to apply for the interview. So the main thing is confidence, what I noticed. So while standing in the queue, there were many students who are giving the interviews, and one thing I noticed was most of the students who are able to speak their case confidently, they were giving their approvals for confident people in general. That is what I noticed while at the Hyderabad Consulate. And few more tips which I would like to give are, try to be positive and confident always at that time. There will be some sort of pressure by seeing some rejections and all like that. Even I felt at that time. But at the end of the day, if you just stay positive and confident, the 50% of the interview is in your hands. And next point which I would like to give is be truthful. So even if you get rejected, it's not the end of life. At least you were truthful and your case was truthful in that case, so no regrets in that. The third tip which I would like to give is consider the interview as a general conversation between you and an American person. In that way, you can feel a little lightness, like it is a general conversation, not a high level technical interview where they grill you for hours. Nothing like that. It just lasted for around 2 to 3 minutes. Yeah, around 3 minutes. And the next tip which I would like to give you all guys is try to convey your intentions in a clear manner. Like, no need to use complex vocabulary or tough words which you mugged up or you are learning and you used through the officer. It's not your GRE verbal section or your TOEFL exam. They just want to know what you want to convey to them. That's the main thing. So even if your English is Indian accent or nothing, no problem to that. You can always ace the interview. And the one more last tip which I would like to give is greet the interviewer at the beginning, because the first impression is always the best impression, and from that moment onwards you can carry on the momentum till the last minute. So that's all guys, that was my visa experience. Thank you for your time and listening to my experience. If you feel this content was helpful for you and if you like it, please like, share and subscribe this, and share it with all your friends who are waiting to give their interviews. Thank you.